Welcome back, everybody. This is Tom Olson here, and I am working on the 30 Days to Good Success. I hope you guys got your workbooks. I'm sure you have. We're into the third week now, so this is day 21 of the 30 Days to Good Success. I hope you have been growing. You know, one of the core values here at Good Success is growth, and the chapters that we're kind of in right now are really growth chapters, and they take some humility, and they take a little bit of time away from focusing on all the goals and all the vision that you want to cast for yourself. And they start really self-reflecting and asking yourself some really hard questions. I believe that we were all created to love somebody. I believe that we are created to be a conduit, not a bucket. We are not created to live our life for ourselves. We are not created to have a bunch of wealth. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against wealth, but I don't believe that we were created to have wealth. We were created to be able to double what we have. So yes, have more than what we were given, but then be willing to give that back, or give that to our next generation, for instance, or give that to the next generation's next generation. Or we were also created to be able to give to others, and to be able to help somebody and have a mission that's going to change the world. Not just so you can say somebody has a statue of me. That's all vanity. We weren't created to be idols ourselves and to worship ourselves. And honestly, we weren't even created to worship other people. But what we were created to is to love other people. And one of the ways that I believe that people stop themselves. So if you think about a conduit, it's got two ends of the conduit, right? So there's an intake part of a conduit, and there's an outflow part of a conduit. And there's three things that I believe firmly can keep you from taking in. And there's three things that I believe could also, you might be open on the one side to take in, but then you also might not be willing to let go of it on the other side. And those three things are fear. We talked about that in the last chapter. Laziness, which is just laziness. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you're not willing to do anything, you're never going to get anything. So if you just expect everybody to do everything for you, and you're not willing to give, if you're not willing to work, if you're not willing to put in the effort, you're never going to have anything, and you're never going to be able to help anybody either. And a lot of times it's because we're thinking about ourselves. And then the last one is pride. Right now, as soon as I said that word pride, I promise you there is a bunch of people that said, oh my goodness, he might be talking about me. And you know what? I am. I'm talking about you. But you know what else? I'm talking about me as well. This is something that I struggle with. This is something that you struggle with. This is something that I promise you we struggle with. Most men struggle with two things. They struggle with the lust of the eyes and the pride of life. And even women, I say men, but women have the exact same struggles. But the lust for most women isn't the same lust that it is for men. It's still it's a covetousness. I want a better thing. I want something more than what I have. I'm not satisfied. I'm not content with what I have. And I think we every single day we have to push down that pride. Every single day, we have to be conscious of when pride creeps up in our life, and then we have to find ways to push that down and to not think about yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you are thinking only about yourself, you're never going to be able to help anybody. I've read some amazing books on this subject. We, as a company, of all of 7 companies that I have, we have what's called a City Hall meeting. And in that City Hall meeting, we get together twice a month, and we spend an hour and a half. I pay them to be in this meeting, everybody in my company, and I believe it helps our business run better. And in that meeting, we do a book review, and we're doing a book right now that's called The Road Back to You, which talks about the Enneagram, and there's 9 different personality types, and knowing each other, and how those different personality groups help each other, and how to act when you're around a certain other one. And something that came up today as we were doing it was pride. Pride comes up, and we've got to be careful of how we react to pride, and how we have to push it down. We have to constantly be saying, I must decrease so God can increase, and so others can increase. We should constantly be trying to push other people up instead of push people down. So one of the most discouraging things to me on Facebook, for instance, is how much negative chatter there is. And even the Facebook groups that I'm in, sometimes even like real estate groups, instead of focusing on encouragement and support and challenging other people, I think there's a time to challenge somebody's opinion. I think there's a time to challenge people to do better than what they're doing. But the just flat out criticism and flat out trying to tear somebody else down, most of that ends up coming because we think we're better than other people. And there's an amazing book called Leadership and Self-Deception. I highly recommend it. Did not hit my top 10 list, but it's definitely in my next top 10 after the first top 10 I gave you in this 30 Days of Good Success. But it basically talks about being in the box. And if you're only thinking about yourself, if you go on an airplane and you think to yourself, man, I don't want somebody sitting in this middle seat. You put your bag there, you wait for people to come down the aisle, and you think to yourself, oh my, everybody that's coming down this aisle could be a bother to me. If that's the way you think, who are you really thinking about? Are you considering what anybody else has to, anybody else's needs? Are you considering what anybody else is going through? I promise you, if you will pay attention, you will start feeling the needs and start feeling what other people are going through without them even telling you, if you'll actually pay attention. And, so contrast that with somebody that is maybe sitting in an aisle seat, or somebody that's sitting in a window seat, and they are looking for somebody and saying, hey, like, you can sit here if you'd like to. Or, maybe there's a couple that's coming down the road, and, you already got a nice comfortable seat, and they need two seats because they're a couple, or they've never traveled before, and they've got a small child, or whatever the case. And, I actually been on one of those airplanes when somebody gave up their seat and went and sat in the middle seat. And honestly, at the beginning, I was kind of that person that I didn't put my bag on the seat next to me, but I really was kind of thinking, boy, I hope nobody sits next to me. But when I saw that, I was deeply convicted of my pride, and deeply convicted that, hey, Tom, you were only thinking about yourself in that manner. And really, at the end of the day, it was pride. I felt that my priorities and my comfort was more important than somebody else's. So the question, and I know that was a long introduction. I apologize for that. But question number 21 is, where does pride creep up in your life? I just gave you an example of pride in my life, and my wife could give you a whole lot more, and I could give you a whole lot more if I was honest with you. But the one thing I did point out in this chapter, and I'm okay pointing it out. I mean, this chapter was written, and I may rewrite it to a certain degree, somewhat, but I think there's a difference. I think sometimes you say things like, I'm proud of this, or this is in a way that it's an accomplishment, or you're proud of your children. I do think that pride can creep in when it comes to children. It's tricky. But children, I'm very proud of my kids. Right now, one of my daughters, last year, she was struggling a little bit. She had a couple D's, and she was like, she had to really work hard at some subjects. And right now, I think so far through the first 3 periods, she's gotten straight A's in everything. And I don't expect that from her, but I'm so proud of her. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong. And I think that word proud may not be the right word, actually. But I think it's what we use in the English language. So I am proud of her. And I think that's totally okay. You're going to have accomplishments. Now, should you go out, beat your chest and say, I am awesome? No. Now, should I lift up other people? Should I praise other people? Should I praise my daughter for getting straight A's? Absolutely. That's totally fine. And I don't believe that that's pride at all. Now, if you think you're better than somebody else, or you think the reason why your daughter got straight A's was because of you, or for instance, in our city hall meeting, back to our city hall meeting, we actually have a time. And it was amazing in this last one that we did. We had so many shout outs every 2 weeks. We give the whole company opportunity to catch somebody doing something good, and it's really one of the funnest parts of our city hall meeting. But it's awesome to see everybody in the room just praising this person for helping them in this situation, praising this person for helping them in this situation, and that's a way to be kind of an opposite of pride, is when you're encouraging other people, and that's what I would love for myself. I really do want to push myself into a position where I'm not trying to tear other people down, but I'm trying to lift them up. And I'm trying to look at the needs of others and be mindful of what other people may need, and not just focus on myself. That, in my opinion, is what good success is. The right person doing the right thing for the right reason, with the right people, for the right amount of time. I don't believe the right person is always thinking about themselves. I don't believe the right person doing the right thing. I don't think the right thing is to think about yourself or to only do for yourself. There is a little bit of survival that you've got to be in that state at some point, and you do have to be able to survive yourself and pay your own bills. But you need to get past that as fast as possible. It's a level of maturity. So pride does creep up, though, in every single one of our lives. And I just want to ask you today, how does pride creep up in your life? And in addition, so again, I'm going to contrast that with what are the things that you're proud of? And again, not using the word proud in a negative way, but like, what are your accomplishments and what are the things that you know you've accomplished? I think it's great to high five you and yourself and your team for all the good things that you've done. I think that's fine. I think if you can definitely go a little overboard. It's great when I speak around the country and the presenter talks, for the first half of his presentation about all the accomplishments that he's done. It does get a little bit on my nerves personally, honestly, because I just, think, oh my goodness, like how much of that is just stretching who you are and actually what you are. How much of this is marketing and how much of this is actually true when you do that. So telling people your accomplishments, I don't think it is necessarily wrong, but at the end of the day, we didn't accomplish those things because of ourselves. We accomplished those things because we were given an opportunity and were placed on this earth to help somebody. And the people that let fear and pride and laziness capture them, they keep those conduits from being useful. And if you are a useful person, I believe you are a conduit. You've ever wondered why a brother and sister or two brothers or two sisters may grow up in the same household, in the same family, go to the same church, go to the same school, have the same teachers, have the same parents, be taught the exact same things, be loved by the same people, but one ends up in prison and one ends up going in the ministry, or one ends up as an entrepreneur, or one ends up just as a successful layman, or one ends up as a successful person that is giving to society. And it's because of that. One has the concept of everything's in this for me. I was created for me. I was created so I could be successful, or I could have comfort, or I could have pleasure. We spend way too much time worshiping pleasure and worshiping comfort. We should be living a life to work, to have, to give, to be the conduit and not the bucket. So again, I ask you, where does pride creep up in your life? Write that down. So how does it help you positively and negatively? I'm really looking at this question more on the negative. So because I believe we need to push it down every day, we should be pushing it down. And then I would just write down 3 or 4 different things of the things that you think that you can honestly say, hey, this is where pride's creeping up in my life. This is where I need to consider other people's opinions, at least consider them in the equation. And this is where I need to be on a better lookout, to be outside the box, as that book, Leadership and Self-Deception, will say. How do I get outside of the box and actually look and see what other people might need instead of only be focused inside the box, which is on myself? Again, I think pride, if you can feel a little bit about the negative things that are being caused in your life by pride, if it's causing you to get angry, if it's causing you to not have friends, if it's causing you to not give, kind of going back to giving when it comes to financial terms, back to the conduit. If you're proud, you're never going to learn anything. Okay, you're never going to be able to work on that knowledge and be able to store up that knowledge to be able to help other people, because guess what? You're a know-it-all. So you're going to have a conduit right here, and it's going to be stopping. You're never going to learn. It's never going to be able to even enter in your brain because you think that you know it all. Think about that. If you're proud and you know it all, you're a proud person. You don't know it. To me, that's why I read every single day. That's why I read my Bible every day. That's why I am reading books. I'm trying to learn because I want to grow. And I know that if I'm not growing, I'm dying. I'm losing ground. So I want to be able to take in myself. But that growth that conduit is great. And it's amazing. Over time, you can serve more people. Over time, you can have a larger family and you can have more influence. On the back end of that conduit, pride can also be an issue. So if you have worked really hard and you are open to knowledge and open to knowing anything, but you're never willing to share that knowledge with anybody else, if you're never willing to share what you've been given or the blessings that you've been given or the talents that you've been given, and you're never willing to share those things, that's a great concept in the book, The Go-Giver. It basically talks about like when you have a gift, you need to be willing to share it with other people. You're not selling necessarily, and you are in the way the world thinks and looks at things, but really you're sharing your amazing. In that book, it actually talks about a girl has a coffee shop and she has this amazing coffee, the best coffee this guy's ever tasted, and she's going to share that with everybody else. She never would have been able to learn how to make that great coffee unless she opened up and she wasn't proud, and then she will never share it with anybody else until she stops being so proud and saying it's not just me, it's not just the way I want things in this little shop, but I want to be able to share this with the world, and might be able to open up my opportunity filter and be able to say, hey, I can help many more people with whatever God's given you in your life. So, and that's really going to do it for today. I know that my questions for you and what I've asked you to write down does not line up exactly with the book, and that's okay. But it's really what's on my heart today, and it's really my mindset behind pride. I believe pride creeps up in my life every day, and I promise you it creeps up in your life every day. So go out today, and instead of being proud and arrogant and thinking about yourself, think about others first and think about what their needs are. And I promise you the happiest people on this earth are the people that think and help the needs of other people, and don't think and help the needs of themselves. Now, I think there's a constant balance with that we do have to take care of ourselves, and that's why this chapter is chapter 21 and not chapter number 1. But I do believe it's important. It's important to push down pride every single day in your life. So I hope that helps you today. I hope it's an encouragement to you. And I know it's a challenge because it's a challenge for me. I need to push down pride even in my own life. So again, I'm going to be signing off. I'm going to sign off for today. So that's going to do it for today. I can't wait to see you tomorrow for question number 22 of the 30 days to good success. I hope that you have a good success day.